Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art Heroes Hard Surface Bootcamp people. It's great to have everyone. My name is Marie JD. I'm from Art Heroes Academy, and thanks everyone for joining. I'm here with Max Puliero. Max, say hi. It's
Hi,
time.
hi all.
Yes.
I'm Max. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Hi. I'm seeing everybody super hyped. If you're as hyped as us, please say hi in the chat. I mean, there's a lot of us across platforms, and there are a lot of people on YouTube specifically. So actually, we've got a lot of ground to cover today and during the next days. So before I actually let Max go in and like start with the program and with everything that we're going to cover, I'm just gonna give a little bit of a roundup of what's the program for the next 3 days. So like today's Monday, and then we keep going, same time, same place, Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah. So quickly, the program, guys. Max, what do we do today? Actually, help me with
Yeah,
that.
we start with the introduction, of course, to what means art surface for characters. I'm gonna explain a little bit how my process is. Okay, which is I don't think it's super uncommon, but in some part I think it's kind of unique. So we try to dig a little bit into that, and we try to get out for today. We try to get some nice silhouettes, some shapes to work on, and I think is something feasible in 1 hour. So
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
I
yep.
think we should.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
cool, cool. And then there is a really, really cool continuation to everything tomorrow and the day after. So I know that we've been getting a lot of questions. I'm going to answer it right away. We've been getting a ton of questions. First of all, if it's like, where is it happening tomorrow? You guys all going to get a link for tomorrow and for Wednesday. And for those of you who cannot watch the stream live, you're going to get the recording, but it's going to be available just for a few days. So just make sure that you watch it during the 3 days. And yeah, and probably during the next 24 hours after everything is over. So yeah, so just like watch your watch your time if you want to watch everything. But before we actually start, I'm just gonna ask everyone where you guys are from. I mean, I see that some people from the UK specifically already said that it's 1:30. Yeah, of course, I know. Yeah, so it's about each day. Yeah, we're gonna be here for about 1 hour. We're gonna try to make it as productive as we can. And yes, so yeah, New York, Denver, of course, SoCal, as always. Cool. It's awesome to have you. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Canada, Atlanta, and Malaysia, even. You see, Max? It's
Yes, good.
yeah, and I also see Germany 2:30. Amazing. 2:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'm
Sorry,
actually
guys.
here, Lisbon, Portugal. So I'm also on 1:30 a.m. club, and Max is in Japan, which
Yep.
leads me to a little bit of like I definitely want you to know who's Max. If you don't know Max yet, you definitely should know Max. So you, Max, can probably do an introduction yourself, but I'm going to start, with a few things that I definitely want to mention about you. That we know Max because of his absolutely awesome work on hard surface characters. And we've been following Max for like a really long time, and we're so happy to bring him on board as an instructor here. So Max, yeah, as I said, lives in Tokyo, and he's working with the major companies in Japan, like Square Enix. You probably heard of Konami, right? I mean, those are
Yep.
some names that that are definitely noteworthy. So yeah, and Max, like I think, yeah, by now we already have a lot of names here. A lot of a lot of people are anxious, and also, guys, quick question here, not quick question, quick request. If you have a question, which is totally okay during the stream, please throw it in the chat. I'm going to be moderating, and I'm going to be making sure that most of the questions get answered. So, like if there is anything that you need to know, like just, we're going to also have some Q&As in the very end. So yeah, but don't keep your question till the end, because you're going to forget it, and I'm not going to forget it. So that's the deal. Yeah, Max, shall we
Yes.
set up your screen here and
Yes,
get into
I'm going
it?
to share the screen. Let me see. Share screen. Okay, this one. Do you see the screen?
Yeah, we do see the screen, and let me add that to the stream. Yeah, everybody can see the screen, guys. I hope you do. Give me a little thumbs up if you can see the screen. Type something in the chat. I'm going to see you. We've got a little stream delay, obviously, as we always do. So, but yes, everybody can see, or at least some people. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Looks good. Thumbs up. Perfect. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So
it's blurry, but I'm going to remove our faces, so you're going to see more of the screen. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Max,
Okay.
I'm leaving it on you. I'm going to go on the background, and yeah, if you need anything, I'm still here.
Okay, cool. So first thing that I want to say is that basically this course and these 3 lessons are going to focus on art surfaces for characters. That I think is quite different from art surfaces by itself, like weapons, vehicles, and stuff like that. Because when you work, when you do art surfaces for characters, you have to think that those guys must be moving like in a video game, in a VFX, in a cinematic, and they have to act most of the time like a normal character. Okay, so they have to move in a way that looks kind of that can express some feelings. Let's put it this way. So I think the approach it's in the middle between like normal art surface approach and actual character modeling. So here I made a board on a pure ref that I'm pretty sure that you guys already know, and it's a slide basically that goes from a very mechanical kind of characters where it's like mostly industrial style, where you can see that it looks like something real that can be built like right away, with all the mechanical things going on, like bolts and stuff. And when we move to the right, we start seeing much more like this kind of stuff, that it start to be like in the middle between a normal character and a robot, this kind of thing that doesn't look necessarily realistic, but the shapes are very cool. Okay, so and we move, and we see that basically we start to lose little by little the track of what is art surface and what is organic. And this kind of style, to be honest, is my favorite. Okay, because it's way more challenging, because you have to find the sweet spot of what is mechanical and what is not. It can be tricky, it can be a little bit complicated, but especially for me, it's something that gives me more satisfaction. But yeah, today let's keep it simple. So let's start to check how I approach the actual modeling. And yeah, what happened in my experience is that the art director, the concept artist, just give me a rough design or maybe just an idea. I have to keep I have to give them some some options, or at least some visual design on how to proceed, at least for the next step on detailing and stuff. So yeah, what happened is that I usually start with just, since we have not a lot of time, just let's start to doing stuff. I just put a thing in the middle of the scene. Okay, usually it's an empty, and I lock the position and everything, so it's impossible for me to move it, and I call it like center, and I usually put a 0 0 in the beginning, so I know it's going to be always on the top, and this is the center of the world. The second thing I'm gonna do is adding like a, let's see, default utility, like a human scale. Okay, so Blender by default works in meters. Okay, but actually working in meters is not ideal, at least in my experience. So I prefer to work in centimeters. That's why I'm going to bring, so this is centimeters, but the problem is that when when I add the cube is going to be big like this. So every time I add a new geometry, is going to be super huge. So I don't like this. I prefer to work with this kind of scale. Okay, so every time I add a cube, is like something more easy to work. I mean, I can scale it up, but I prefer something that doesn't cover all the time my entire scene. So yes, you always put a human figure. Okay, this is very important because you always have to work in some kind of scale. Also, as you can see here, I have also my starter pack, but just for the sake of introduction, how my workflow is, I'm gonna start from scratch. So I usually make a cube. Okay, make like this. I put it here, and I subdivide like a couple of times. Oh, by the way, can you give me feedback if everything is working fine with the audio, video?
Everything is working fine for me. And there is a question,
Okay.
what plugin is that?
What plugin? I didn't use any plugin now. It's
That's it,
what
guys. That's it, guys. We're just starting.
yeah, yeah, there is for the cube, you mean? Or for
Um, Not my question. Yeah, I think it was for just, yeah, probably for the cube. I'm just
or
guessing.
because, or maybe this other thing that this is the asset browser, Blender default asset
Yeah,
browser. So
yeah,
you
probably
make
yes.
yeah, you make your own. So you have this shape. I'm gonna keep it like here. One thing that I'm going to do though is jumping in sculpt mode and be sure that I have the symmetry activated. So when I modify it, it's going to be modified on both sides. So I just leave it here. I won't touch this one. I just make a duplicate and I start with the chest. At this moment, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. So it's going pretty much freestyle. Okay, so I'm sorry if in the end it's going to be something not very super cool and fancy, but is that's the whole purpose of this, So trying to experiment a little bit. So and I start to just make a shape. So since I'm not a pure concept artist, okay, so I don't really have like a clear idea of what I want right away. So I have to always have some visual feedback for me too, So my point, what I want to say is that basically I see a lot of videos on YouTube of amazing people, super skilled, that they just start with a blob that makes absolutely no sense, and after a while, they just say, yeah, now it looks crap, but later on it's going to be looking amazing. Well, I'm not that kind of guy. I always need something like kind of cool feedback. I always need some, something that doesn't look like crap. So as you see here, the shapes are still very, very simple, but I mean, it starts to look like something, even at this stage. So one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna subdivide a little bit. So, we we have more a cleaner intersection between meshes. And so the cool thing is that, of course, I have this mesh, I keep duplicating and done stuff. But now what I'm going to do is like make another copy of this one, okay, and add it to it a mirror modifier using as a center of the of the mirror, the symmetry, the center that I created before, the empty in the scene, this guy here. Let me make it a little bit bigger. So, maybe more. Let me see. Okay, so it's basically this guy here. So now, no matter what I move, of course, it's going to be referring to this guy here. So if I move this guy, the center is going to change, but I don't want to move that guy. So, and I turn off the merge, since I don't want them to be merged in any circumstances. And another thing I'm going to do is the snapping. Just let me activate the face project, something like this. So when I duplicate this guy and approach the mesh, is automatically snapping to the face. To be honest, I'm going to turn it off by default, but I can always activate with the control button. Okay, so the control button pressing is automatically going to snap. I think it's very similar to Maya in this regard. So, and now it's still symmetrical. Now you see that it's in a weird direction, but because when you snap it, you also snap the rotation. If you check the wireframe, you see what happened here. So it's rotating. So with Alt-R, you can reset the rotation, or you can basically turn it off from here. And in this case, it's going to snap without the rotation. And another thing I'm going to do, since it's already symmetrical, considering the center of the world, I'm going to turn off the local symmetry, so I can move them non-symmetrically. So this is the chest, by the way. I'm working on the chest right now. Those are the pectorals kind of shape, I think. So I'm trying to, again, since it's for a character, I'm trying to replicate and try to give some hint of a human kind of anatomy. And I stick with very low resolution meshes, because at this stage I don't want to focus on details. I mean, if I can of course just do some voxelizing thing. So for example, I don't know, 100. Now everything is crashing. I didn't save. How smart I am. So let's see. Okay, no, I didn't crash, but let's save. So this is a good thing. Let me save on the other screen so I don't spoil my whole hard disk. You guys, if you're doing some stuff with me, please save. Give me a sec. Okay. Okay, so yeah, if I do, I don't know, maybe this one is too big, but yeah, I have to find the right spot. If I start, oh shit, why is that? Oh yeah, I have to apply that. Let me see, maybe. Looks like, okay, so something like this. You see that I start to pull and start to get, even the resolution doesn't change much, but I start to get some blobby shape, which I don't like. So I prefer to have this kind of topology, and maybe in the future, when we start to add some details, just subdivide it and keep with this topology as long as possible. So I don't need all the time to duplicate those guys here. I can just take a copy, scale. This is one of the reasons why I use Blender instead of other software, let's say ZBrush, because this kind of workflow, it's working really fast for me. Also, the ability to jump in this like edit mode really fast and editing the polygons at the speed of light. It's crucial for me at this stage. I want to have something cool and ready in the least amount of time. So you see that now the center of the object is located here. So let me recenter it. So I'm not really used to work while speaking. So sometimes I just have to focus a little bit on what I'm doing. But if you have any question in the meantime, please go ahead.
Well, I'm actually going to throw you a question meanwhile, using the opportunity, Max. So there was a question from, let me just throw this in. Just give me a second. I already lost the question. Yeah, so Anna was asking, just I think a pretty good generic question. Like, as a 2D artist trying to learn, like, do you think Blender will not be enough for the industry?
Well, I mean, most of the time, I never had any problem, to be honest, because people watch, especially for modeling. If you go into animation, then probably you should totally learn Maya, for example. But modeling, in the end, most of the time, maybe there is something that you have to use, not even Maya, but the software that they use in house. Okay, so sometimes this can be 3ds Max, sometimes can be Maya, sometimes can be Blender, especially very strong for in these studios. And nowadays, not even that much indie anymore. So I think it's not really software thing. It's much more like a skill thing of this the you know
Yeah, yeah,
user.
absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
So of
And
course there is stuff that it's better to do in other softwares. If you want to do like I don't know, fluid simulation or a massive explosion, and you want to do it in Blender, maybe it's better. Yeah, of course, maybe you can do it, but it's probably better to do it in Houdini, for example. So
yeah,
yes.
do we have space for one more question?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just going ahead with the blowout. So
Yeah. So do you have any advice for keeping your design appealing at this early stage? Question from Alexa.
sorry again.
Yeah,
Can you
any
repeat? I
tips
missed
for
that.
keeping your design appealing at
Appealing. Okay.
this early stage?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Again, it's you need to know. I mean, especially for my experience, you need to know at least a little bit of anatomy, but not like the name of the muscles, but what is looking cool. So and try to understand what makes something cooler and what's not, and practice a little bit about that. But yeah, I would say that at least for this kind of characters, the very organic art surfaces, it's knowing a little bit of anatomy always helps 100%. So I'm not really digging into it, but if you can see here, I'm trying to follow, for example, the line of the chest here, the rib cage muscle, okay, the pectorals, and yeah, you see the pelvis here, trying to follow the shape. And this is still very early stage, because while we are talking and making, it's still like less than 20 minutes and working on this. But you see, it's like if someone, the art director, just passed behind my desk, he has already something to look at. It's not just a mass blob. So so
Yeah.
that's the approach that I like the most. Also because again, I'm not a pure concept artist, so I always need a constant feedback on what I'm doing. I cannot just pretending that, oh yeah, in the future is going to be okay, it's going to be looking good. So I really need constant feedback. So at this stage, I was playing a lot with with spheres, and I actually don't even thinking much about joints and how this character is going to move. And to be honest, it's something that I prefer to leave to the next session. But let me just add another primitive to our collection, which is our friend, the cylinder. Okay,
Yeah.
and let me also add like a crease. So when I subdivide the mesh, if you see, even I subdivide it, I keep the edges like sharp. I have a shortcut for this one that is Shift E. I don't know if it's the default, to be honest, because I customized Blender so much during the years that I lost a little bit of track what's its default and what's not. So so let's add the cylinder here, and for the cylinder, since it's a cylinder, I don't like to deform it much. Okay, so I just like push a little bit. I just adjust the size, but I don't aim to to deforming in a way like this, for example. At least for the thing that I'm doing right now, which is like the socket for the head. I think I'm going a little bit into the direction of a juggernaut, or like I say the fat Iron Man, the gigantic one, the one that used to fight the Hulk. So something like this, and you see that, for example, yeah, I could add like a little bevel to it and make it more like stylish and cool, but we are not to that level yet. If I start to add details at this stage, then it's going to be really hard for me to move on to something else, because I get too attached to the details that I already made, that maybe I just want to keep them, because, oh yeah, but it's looking cool, but maybe all the rest is not looking cool, So having these very simple shapes and having something that really doesn't take much time to make also helps me to not get too attached to the design, So this is should be the like kind of the head. Yeah, it's totally going to be something like Iron Man or something.
Max,
So
we have a
yeah.
question from the crowd, and
Oh, you see, this
about
was a crash.
okay, I'm using the crash
Yeah,
as an opportunity to question you
yeah,
on the centimeter model, centimeter scale human model.
yeah.
So yeah, where did you get it from?
I made by myself. I mean, you should
Okay,
make
that's
your
it, guys.
yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. It's let me see.
Easy
Okay, I didn't
peasy.
lost much. Yeah, I mean, it's if you see, it's it's this kind of thing, So you can go on Sketchfab or whatever, download a free model, and make it very like super light, so it doesn't, you don't need like details on this. It's just a reference for scale. You can also use a cube, that resemble the size of the human. It's going to be, but I like to have a human, it's more clear. Yeah, you see, now I have a cube instead of but yeah, I mean, human is cooler, so let's go with the human.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to remake a little bit. I constantly save, by the way. I mean, every 3 seconds. That's the way. That's the way. And the latest Blender are way more crashy than what's to you know to used to be in the past for some reason. And most of the time, since I work on NDA projects and stuff like that, I cannot even report the bug or the specific situation where the bug happened, because yeah, I cannot share the file. So yeah, that's the thing. But crashing is something that you have to deal with, no matter the software. So okay, we start to have easy. I mean, it's not bad. We get in there. We start to have something. I start to like it, to be honest. And
Max,
it's
would
unbelievable
you,
how
sorry,
the
oh yeah,
yeah
sorry, go ahead.
no, it's unbelievable how the time flies when you make something, you know.
Yeah.
So
Would you use
yeah.
pen or tablet for sculpting?
Oh yeah. I mean, I use. I'm not one of these fancy Cintiq guy. I have my old, very old Wacom
Well,
Intuos 4.
let me show you.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
sure. Sorry about that.
Yeah, now we see you.
Yeah, this one is very old. It's very, very old and super dirty, but I like it. And it's doing the job, and it's an Intuos 4. So, yeah, it's a medium size. I don't have any Cintiq or something, for the reason that basically Blender, it's really, really. Oh, let me activate, by the way, the screencast key. So it's you have to work with the keyboard. If you work with the keyboard, it's going to be like 200 times faster. So I prefer to work with the tablet, and I using it for everything, not just for sculpt. I mean, I using the tablet even for internet browsing. So I think I'm kind of the exception of art surface modelers here, because usually they work with the mouse and keyboard and try to be super precise and stuff. But yeah, I'm not. So yeah, buy a keyboard. Buy a tablet, and no matter the brand anymore, because there are like other sub brands. Like I guess Hunian is one. One of them is a Chinese maker that making super good products. Uh, so I have to align this one. Even it's still a character, so the thing I want to do is keep it organic, but sometimes I want to align stuff together. So to align things, meshes, or whatever in Blender, there is an add-on that people that use Blender already knows, which is this one. It's inside Blender by default. That it's the copy attributes menu. That basically you select two things. You select your object and the target. You do Control C, and you can copy a bunch of stuff, basically everything. So you do copy location, and you get the mesh in the same location. Okay, so let's move a little bit on the arm. Okay. So yeah, I mean, now it's like, yeah, Max, you're doing this, but it's clearly still a bunch of spheres that are crashing together. That is something that you know can looks like, and it's true. But the thing is that I think working in this way gives me more freedom, also because there is a tool that we're probably gonna take a look at tomorrow, I guess, at this point, which is a grease pencil that allows me to draw on the surface and everything. I can define in a way more in a faster way what's going to be the um, final shape of the model. So there is another tool to align stuff. And also, of course, my style, for the stuff I like, I prefer a lot more these kind of shapes. So, but yeah, maybe during the full course, we also trying to take a look on other approaches to get like more mechanical kind of robots and characters. So there is another align tool, which is this one that it should be by default activated by default, but I'm not sure. So, and this one allows you to align only one of the axes. So in this case is the X. So since I'm going to work with the arm, I ideally want to duplicate and be having the the mesh already aligned. So, and even I'm working with spheres, that by pushing. Let me bring this guy a little bit down here. I can make some part of the mesh a little bit more square. It's not that everything is going to be super rounded anyway. So why the scale is important? Because as you can see, this guy is big like this. So this guy is never going. I mean, this guy never can be inside this dude here. If we want to make it, then it's going to be like way bigger, like this probably. Otherwise, it's never gonna fit into the robot. So that's how these reference models helps me to keep track of what I'm doing. So even I put the head and everything, this one is going to be like an independent robot. Let me scale a little bit this one, just a little bit. And another thing I'm going to do is start to add, just for sake of giving some functionality, like a gear. Let me put something like this. Doesn't need to be super big. So when this guy is moving, it has already some sort of functionality. So, and to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised on how. Usually when I do a character like this, I delete and restart from scratch 2 billion times. This time, luckily, I'm pretty happy of what I'm getting here. But please let me know if what do you think about the design in general. It's something that it's not something really crazy, that totally unseen. So probably that's the reason why. It's looking decent, but please let me know if you have any thoughts about the design itself.
Max,
So
are you thinking about topology at this stage or even earlier stages?
At this stage, no. I do not mind about topology, but since topology means basically the polygons flow, how stuff are. How polygons are moving around, I would say that again, I want to keep the mesh as simple as possible to have the smoothest silhouette as possible. So I don't want to even be. I don't want to be even in. I say I want to preclude to myself the ability to add any details to the models. Okay, so that's why I just wanna work with few polygons as possible. Okay, so no topology though, not topology, absolutely no topology thinking at this stage. But for example, I have a cylinder here, and of course, I'm going to reuse the cylinder. Okay, for when we move on to the detailing, and of course, maybe I have this kind of topology already here, so I can, for example, you want to detail this part later in the future. So you just maybe you want to work on a duplicate, you subdivide a couple of times, and you have a topology where you can add, I don't know, cuts and stuff, and you can add details straight to it, So of course, I'm going to reuse stuff, but I'm not really specifically thinking on topology. That's if it make any sense to you. So yeah. No topology, but I'm going to reuse as much as possible. So since now I have to work with the legs, let me make a duplicate of this one and align to it, and boom. So I'm sure that so as you can see, one thing that I like to do is keep consistent the design between arms and legs. Okay, so this is a design thing. I forgot to mention, but I actually have a degree in industrial design. Okay, so I didn't study CG. I'm totally 100% self-taught. I mean, I studied softwares like Rhino and AutoCAD back in the days. By the way, I'm 40 years old, so I mean, I'm still 39, but soon I'm going to be 40. So I started when softwares were really, really primitive. So no sculpt, no anything. So I learned it the hard way. So yeah, keep the design consistent. You see, the same kind of shapes make it everything more pleasant to watch. That's important. So let me put another bit here. For example, this one has to bend in this direction, so it probably makes sense to have the gear put in this position. So when these guys are going to move, it moves like this. Okay, but this is still very, very rough, as you can see. But yeah, now there are two things, guys, that really are super time consuming. The first one is the fit, and the second one, which is even more time consuming, are the hands. Hands and feet is the two things in a robot in general that is going to take a lot of your time. So my suggestion is to have a database of pre-made presets, hands and stuff that can you basically reuse all the time you need. But in this case, since all the stuff I made are like protected by NDAs and stuff because I use them in other projects, I have to also, you see, I mean, this thing is crap. Okay, so making good looking fit and stuff requires a lot of time. So it's not that easy. So in the while I'm trying to make it a little bit cooler, if you have any question, please go ahead.
We actually have a lot of questions. So let me start from the, from the last ones. So Michael here, an industrial engineer, an industrial designer as well, and considering a career shift. When did you make the shift from in your career?
So I got out of school and I started to work right away as in like an architectural studio. Okay, and yeah, I didn't like it pretty much. So when and I was back in the days in Italy. So after that, I decided to move to Tokyo just for a while, and then I ended up to work. I think I didn't even decide. I wanted to do this job, but I didn't have any degree, so I thought, yeah, maybe it's impossible. But there was this company that gave me a chance, probably by watching my my portfolio. I don't know, or maybe because I was a cool guy. I have no idea. But basically, I was 26 years old, or 27, around that period. And when I started in this company that made like CG for TV shows, so not even related much to characters and stuff. But the cool thing is that I had to learn how to do stuff super quickly. because quality was not really a thing. So yeah, I was 27, and after that, after a couple of years, I moved into a production company which is called the Digital Frontier, and with that company, I made, I started to make actual characters and stuff for like games and full CG movies, cinematics, and stuff like that. So I'm not 100% satisfied with this kind of design, maybe because I should. Oh yeah, you see in Blender, when you activate the symmetry mode in Sculpt, is also applies in the edit mode, so you have to deactivate here for some reason. Where is that option? So you have to be in edit mode and deactivate it. Yeah, let me make it as a finger, which is cooler. So yeah, I was like 20 something, basically 27 or something, and so yeah, there is a thing about robots though that really pissed me off, is that they look crap when they are in relaxed pose, okay, but as soon as you put them in let me add a couple of empty. So
Max, quick technical question. By working in low topology, is there any way that you can destroy your mesh or your object? And do you have to increase the poly count?
Later on, I will increase the poly count. 100%. Now I just need to define the silhouette, because the silhouette in the end is the thing that counts more. I mean, there is no one single project I worked on that I spend maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 retakes on the silhouette, and maybe I just gonna get a couple of feedbacks on the details. So silhouette is 100% the most important. When you nail down the silhouette, you can move forward and start to add details. Okay. If you have a crappy silhouette and you start to add details on the crappy silhouette, you're never gonna get something cool out of that. So I know that putting details and stuff, adding, crazy things, it's super fun, but yeah, you have to start from the basics. So and there are a ton of ways to add details to this kind of mesh. Okay, so you can retop a little bit, you can move to ZBrush and add like sculpting features all over the place. But yeah, we are not at that stage yet, so I don't think it's a problem. So if that was the question, it's not that this thing is like limiting me in any way. So you see that just by putting this guy a little bit in pose, it's already looking way cooler than before. Now you see that it's like falling down a little bit, so I have to adjust it. Maybe something like this. Something like this. Maybe let me add some volume here. This guy a little bit inside here. Okay. So yeah, another reason why I use Blender is because it has all the tools that a normal 3D software has. So like this kind of parenting, so I can put stuff in pose and go back in one click. I don't really need to be worried about oh yeah, now I lost the symmetry or stuff like that. So but I still have all the capabilities of a normal sculpting software. So now for the hand, again, it's going to be like a little bit of time consuming, but I try to make it faster as possible. So usually when I have to, so I don't like, I really want to cut something here. So let me, so for cutting stuff, it's better to use like a box cutter because it's a super amazing tool. In case you don't have the plugin, there are other ways, which is, I guess, there is like the bisect somewhere, which is which does exactly the same thing, kind of. Or even better, there is an add-on that it's already inside Blender that is called Object Carver, that you can activate. I think it's Carver. We can activate with the Control Shift X. So Control Shift X, you get this kind of interface. You press the space and you get like the line option here. So I think, yeah, okay, Shift X. I'm not using this. So I think, oh yeah, okay, cool, kind of. So now let me delete this. Okay, now I like it a little bit more. Blender has like ZBrush a little bit of the concept of polygroups, you see. They are called like face sets, okay. But this time I don't really mind about them. So something like this, it's a little bit better. So let me make fingers. I try to keep the same same style of the rest of the body. But when you make hands in general, my suggestion is to have a board like I have it here with some references for cool mechanical hands. Okay, because it can be very tricky, and it's actually very tricky to get some cool hand design. To be honest, it's time consuming, and there are a lot of ways to achieve good results. The problem of making hands is that they have to move, especially for characters. If you want to put like a human hand in a robot, they have to they have to be able to move like the human hand. So coming up with a good design out of the blue, it can be tricky. So also you have to keep in mind a little bit of functionality. So I'm not at this stage. I'm not really thinking about the scale. You see that the finger is super gigantic. So, another loop here, for example, just to add a little bit more of consistency. So there is anything else? I don't know, people.
Yes, there is a lot actually. So why did you put the empty there for the shoulder instead of just moving the geometry itself? I think that was about like 5 minutes.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Because I have different centers. So if I move the geo like this, that in this case are rotating following the active elements, which is this one. You see that the outline is a little bit brighter. So it's also different color. So when you rotate, and then if I want to bring back the position, I do in Blender is Alt R. You see, the position gets basically fucked up. Sorry for the words, but so that's why if you work with an empty, first of all, you can move the whole thing all together really, really fast. And when you want to rotate, you want to bring back in position, it's like, it's like super fast. So cool. Yeah, that's why I use empties.
Yeah. And when do you start naming primitives? Square and Julius is saying that they've heard it's important if you want to stay organized.
Oh yeah, that's totally true. And actually, I'm not doing it because I'm trying to rush a little bit to make stuff in time. So, but yeah, usually what I do is not even renaming primitives, but I group them at least, like a new collection. I make chest, I make a new collection and say like arm and legs, because this one is still a block out. So this is probably a little bit confusing, but I'm probably gonna reuse some of this mesh, but it's still like a reference. Okay, so most of the stuff is probably going to be like splitted, add more details, adding stuff. So at this stage, renaming this thing like, oh yeah, this is the toe, this is the foot. You know, it doesn't really help me in any way. So I prefer instead divide them by collection. So keep the stuff a little bit more organized.
Yeah, yeah, that
So
totally makes
this
sense.
is, or maybe also the head, for example, this part here. Let's call it head. Okay, so yeah, and yeah, this stuff is still, you know, my original thing, so I can make it like starter pack. This is starter pack, and this is my hand. This is the unit scale that I can put it in a reference folder. Okay, yeah, so now it's a little bit more organized. Thank you. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, absolutely when the stuff start to be like a little bit more complex, renaming the meshes, maybe it's a little bit hardcore, but definitely having like a collection well organized, it's important. Um,
And
so
another
yeah.
question here is, what are some paid add-ons that are a must-have, if any?
Oh yeah, it depends on what you're doing basically, because in Blender you can do a lot of stuff. Um, but I would say that my favorite add-ons are like that's a pretty unconventional, to be honest. Is like the Pi menu editor, okay, which is this one that allows you to customize and making your own pies. For example, I have my own pie. When I press tab, I have this pie menu that pops up and helps me to jump into different modes without going over here over all the time. Or maybe when I'm inside the edit mode, I have this. I press right click, and this pop up show me is like my options. So, for example, I want to use faces, edges, or vertices. So the movement it's really fast. That is even faster than moving the hand to the 1, 2, 3 to select by default the components. You know, it's like a gesture in the mouse. So it's I can select the linked stuff. So Pi menu editor is one of them. After that, I would say this guy here, which called the name is Batch. This is for production stuff, guys. So it's basically it helps you to rename multiple thing in the scene, or maybe assign a modifier or something to another bunch of objects. So it's basically it helps me to organize the scene. And after that, I would say the mesh machine that it's offers basically a bunch of tools to handle better art surfaces in general. It's pretty expensive, but it's totally worth it. And after that, and last but not least, is the box cutter. I have Ardops and the box cutter, but most of the time I use a box cutter. Basically, allows you to cut polygons using. I mean, and also while you're doing that, is also keep organize the modifiers orders and the outliner. So it's really helpful, especially for art surfaces. for our surface model. And after that, there is this one that is free. It's called the selection set list. So basically, I can add stuff to selection set. So every time I need, I just click this one. I can rename it and say like finger. And so every time I can just click, and it's a substitute of the basically the outliner. So it's just to select stuff really, really quickly and easy. So yeah, those are, I think I probably missed something, but those are my favorite external add-on in Blender. There are a lot of add-ons that are already inside Blender, which maybe in the when we jump on poly modeling in the later stages, I can introduce you. But yeah, now paid add-on or like external add-on are those one, I guess. So not that
Cool,
much.
cool. Yeah, that makes all the sense.
So yeah, I'm thinking, okay, so I should, because the finger, it's rotating in this way. Okay, so same. Okay. So this one finger. Let me, again, for the sake of making stuff easier for the future. Okay, let me parent to this guy here. Make also change the shape. Okay, make a little bit smaller. Maybe since this guy is a little bit like fat, I can scale a little bit up like this probably. Okay, so now let me duplicate this one and let's make it this one a little bit longer since it's the median, and also this one. Again, to achieve like our surface like concepts and block out, there are like infinite ways. There is no one single method or a method, a system, a way to make it better than the other. It's like based on feelings, but the important thing is that you need to have confidence, in the way you're making stuff. So try to find your way and master it. You need to get quality in the least amount of time. Of course, first of all, quality, and after that is the speed. Still, so yeah, let me scale a little bit. Make it so. As you can see, if it was like a normal robot, probably having all these guys aligned and all the fingers the same size was enough. But since this guy here resemble a little bit, the human shape, you also want to give some to make the hands a little bit more organic. So that's why I cared a little bit to make a different size for the fingers and make it them a little bit more natural. To be honest, maybe human hand should be, something like this. So it's less uncanny. So, and after that, I probably just gonna use this one. Let me make a palm. A little bit. So hands, yes, time consuming. It's time consuming when you make like organic models, time consuming when you make like hard surfaces. There is no shortcut to that. I mean, if you make it from scratch, if you have your own database, then it's perfect. And now let's add also the thumb that it's calculate this. Let me save. That is the only finger that moves in a really, really weird way, since it can basically rotate in all directions. So the thumb has this how you call that in English, by the way? This piece of the finger.
You mean any piece of the finger?
Yeah,
Okay.
this 1, 2, 3. People from English.
My brain is not working. Please, somebody help me. Yeah, I know the name. Give me a second. I'm gonna dig it out of my head.
I probably know the spell, but I don't know how to pronounce it in English.
I think I know. It's like a phalanx.
Okay, perfect.
Or like a joint, yeah. Or like phalanx, I think is
the medical name. So it's usually shorter. Oops, maybe it's a little bit. And he has to move, in basically all directions. So yeah, that's why it's tricky. Now I want to, let me do a thing here in front. So I always say it. I want to move only the parents. Okay, the parent here. So there's an option under tool.
We've got the better word, Max. Digits. There you go.
Digits. That sounds very American.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the digits. Thank you. So if I check inside the option, there's transform palette, there is parents, and then you can move, and you see that all the children stay in place. Okay. So now when I rotate, it rotates from there. Actually, it should be even more far away, like this, I think. Okay. So let's put like here. Okay. Now let's make it a little bit cooler. So I have like the socket for the fingers. So especially for the hands, now I gave to it like a little bit of an organic shape, but actually when we are going to move into actual modeling and detailing, I gonna bring them back to like orthographic shape, so it's way easier to add details and stuff. And I'm gonna move back to the position later on. So actually this one, I can start to work with instances. So if I move one, the other it's got the format at the same way, since are the same model. Again, for the sake of consistency, Okay, so we start to have something here. So the hand, I mean, it's still a little bit blobby, but I think I think it does the job at this stage. So let me put another empty here, another cube. Scale it up. And let's parent those guys here. And since those empties already controlling the single fingers, I'm gonna select all of them, and I'm gonna parent them to this guy here. So now I can put them in position. and it's going to be fine. I can make it, since it's a concept, I don't mind if stuff are going to get a little bit squeezed, like in this case is I need to get like the correct proportions. And to be honest, for this one, I can like unparent it, So I retain, if you unparent, basically you go back and retain the original scale, and then I can just put it back and scale it and rotating as a separate part, you know what I mean? Okay. So it can be a little bit even shorter. So yeah. So for this guy here, let me see if I parent it. Okay, it keeps the right thing. So let me just add, it's totally temporary. I'm not going to care about much about like the joints at this stage, but yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna add the mirror modifier to those guys, and to add that there are two ways. The fastest one is to select one thing that already have it, okay, and do Control C and say, okay, copy the selected modifier, and I pick the mirror, and I have the hand on the other side. So I think, okay, I did it in super rush. I thought I would never ever gonna get that far in 1 hour. In fact, it's more than 1 hour. But I think for today we can call it a day, probably.
I think I'm impressed. I wouldn't believe that you would be able to do it in 1 hour. I was wrong.
It's I mean, yeah, it's making concept that actually I don't even like the concept word, because the concept is usually something that the art director gives to the concept artist. The concept artist gives ideas, gives designs, gives prototypes. Okay, so I prefer to call this kind of stuff like prototyping. So you get like an idea. In this case, we don't have an art director. I'm the art director myself.
I love it.
You get an idea from someone above, and you just try to get something out of it.
Yeah.
This one, and let me put it a little bit in pause. Oh, these guys. This one. Okay, so yeah. Yeah. Cool. So we get the silhouette, right? So this model, if the art director say, okay, I like the silhouette, I like the direction. Of course, the next lesson tomorrow we're gonna go a little bit deep into the refining the model and everything. But yeah, you already have something. You can give this model to the animators. They can start to put the animation on it, and they can tell you, oh, okay, you have to make like the arm bigger, or maybe the head in that specific position doesn't work for unknown reasons. So you have something to work with, basically. And this process, I mean, that's why I like it. I had to find a way to make stuff really, really fast, because I mean, there is an entire pipeline depending on the modeling team. Okay, so if the model it's in late, the rig team is in late, the animators are in late, everything got delayed, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough. It's really, really tough. And since I'm doing this for work, and I'm totally biased by it, so I, even when I work on my personal stuff, I still feel the pressure that I have to make stuff fast as possible. So yeah, it's like I'm a little bit obsessed with it. So
Yeah.
okay, I
Yeah.
think we can
Cool. That's I'm
yeah,
just like
questions.
just like
I
a
don't
few.
know.
Oh, no, I think we've answered everything or almost everything. So just like if you guys are practicing alongside, feel free to post your progress on Discord. I think I shared the link before. You also, I'm pretty sure, got the link over email if you're getting our email. But here is the link again. I mean, it would be amazing to see what everybody is up to. Even if it's very, very early on, in the progress. I mean, we all understand. We're all nice to each other. like, yeah, it will be amazing to see some of the whips because, well, basically, you already know you've been in this long enough. I'm sure that the only way to get like better at this stuff is practice and show up with your progress. Right, Max?
Oh yes, 100%.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's
That's the
100% the
game.
key.
Yeah. Even if you
Yeah.
think that it's not good enough, I mean, we're not expecting like anything finished at this stage. So just use the opportunity to get some feedback
Yeah.
on your sculpts. Like
Yeah.
help each other also. Comment on what other
Yeah.
folks are doing. I mean, it's always a really cool like little community that follows the events. And yeah, I mean, I just can only encourage you all do this. And please don't feel shy because we're all here to learn. And that's actually why we're hosting the event. Like, we really want to see some of you get something out of the streams, out of the workshops. And please, yeah, like do yourselves a favor. Like, that's kind of
Yeah.
my final message to
Yeah.
everybody who is
And
here.
also, if I can add something now, since I had to make something that it's kind of appealing. I went to something that it's really common design. But to be honest, with this kind of approach, since it's really really fast, I encourage the students or the people that are joining today to experiment a little bit more. Now it's like a humanoid, but nothing prevents you to make something. I don't I don't know, really crazy. Like I don't know, put a,
Absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
gigantic cylinder up here, you know, and this is the body, and the harness are like this. It's whatever, guys. So just experimenting. So you know it's that's the key of this system. So just focus on the silhouette, try to make something that looks cool, at least to you. And since it's very fast and very iterative, experiment. So if you keep more than an hour on something, it maybe is because you're getting lost and probably you want to start from scratch with something else. It's it's this kind of approach. So this approach helps you to define a design. So
Yep.
after that, so just keep rolling. And maybe in the beginning it takes a little bit. And I think this approach is also kind of feasible in other softwares. I think in Maya you can do that. I think in ZBrush you can do it. In Modo you totally can do that. So it's not really related to Blender, but after that, of course, I'm going to use Blender, so it's going to be very specific for this, to the software. So yeah,
Cool, cool, cool.
I
Alrighty,
think I
guys.
think actually I prefer this one to the one they make. Yeah,
Oh my God. Okay, this is
yeah,
interesting. This is becoming interesting.
yeah,
Yeah. So, guys, then cool. Thanks everybody who joined us tonight or today, whatever is whatever is your time zone. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow because we're going to be talking more about actually making your model correct for the real life. And just like the usability of your model, the
yeah,
everything that's like all the basically the boxes it needs to tick for it to be used in production. So we're going to be definitely mentioning that. So please come back if you've got something to bring as like, as your own model. You can definitely continue during the stream. So that'll be awesome. Yeah, righty, Max.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow is going to be like focusing on joints, make sure that they can work in some way, and add a little bit of details to the model, like still in the design, because as people notice, we're still in a very, very rough block out. So this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep working on the same. So all right, T peeps, have a good night and enjoy the rest of your day for everybody who is here from Asia. Alrighty, and see you all tomorrow. I'm gonna close the stream.
Bye.
And thanks,
Thank
Max.
you.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.